Like most woodworkers, I guess, I've got a variety of clamps, different sorts, the usual kind of C clamps and F clamps. My favourites, which are cam clamps, which I use a lot in my acoustic guitar work, small spring clamps, that kind of thing. But I wanted to present a few more ideas. As guitar builders, often we need to clamp odd shapes, things which aren't flat necessarily, or square, or just weird shapes. And so here are a few things which can be useful for clamping things together. So I've basically got three types of alternative clamps on the bench here. The first is what I'll call the elastic group. I started with, years ago, I bought some bicycle inner tubes and just cut it up into a strip, elasticated strip, which is handy for, wrapping around irregular shapes, like gluing a fingerboard to a neck or a plate to a rim set or something like that. From there I moved on to, I found this sort of bungee cord stuff in a long length. It's not terribly elastic, so it's good in that it works like a rope, but with a slight amount of elasticity in it. But the best thing I've found is actually this surgical tape. What would you call it? No, surgical tube. I've got it in two thicknesses. Neither of them are terribly long, but they do a great job because it's got a really good amount of elasticity in it. So for wrapping irregular shapes, anything elastic, even long elastic bands, is handy. The second group is wedges. I've got a little box here of various kinds of wedges which are used for laminate flooring and stuff, to kind of you bash a panel into place with a wedge. I've used these for gluing plates together. You can use wedges to force the glued surfaces together. In fact, these wedges have got uses all over the workshop. I use them a lot, not just for clamping. They can be used to sort of nudge a bit of side into the right place around the outside of a mould, for example, if it's slightly distorted. So that's the second group. The third group, as you can see, are weights, and sometimes they're the simplest kind of clamp you can imagine, but sometimes that's exactly what you need. I use these quite a lot, but the ones I use most are these really big heavy ones. This one is 28 pounds, and I think this one is about the same. Actually, they feel the same to me. They're extremely heavy. If you want to glue a piece of a veneer to a piece of wood, for example, you just put a large, thick plate of wood, plywood or something like that on top to distribute the weight. Stick a couple of these on, and it works brilliantly. I find nail files are very useful for sanding small areas. They're ready-made sanding sticks. They come in different grits. This is one I use for, I've just filled the little gaps under the frets here because I cut back the tang, so you're left with holes which you can fill with the same dust as the wood your fingerboard is made of. And then you can use the nail file to level off. When you've super glued your dust in, you get a little lump on the top, but that's easily leveled off. And because you can use your finger as a fence, it's a very rigid stick. You don't run any danger of running onto the fingerboard, onto the neck, which here is painted. I mean, it's got a coloured finish on it, and you don't want to go into that and expose the wood underneath. So nail files are very good. This one's about materials for shims. So quite often you need a shim to build something up if it's not quite the right size, or if you've, dare I say it, cut something a little bit too short and you just want a tiny amount. I save things like wood from strawberry cartons, which is, you know, a millimetre or millimetre plus thick. You can also get modelling ply, which I've made thin templates out of, and I keep the offcuts from that. If you need, oh yeah, modelling ply comes normally in, I think it's 0.8 millimetres. I have seen it and got little bits down to 0.5 millimetres, which is really good, sometimes just what you need. If you need something even thinner, this kind of coarse brown paper works well. This piece, I think, was on the inside of a roll of wrapping paper, so it's there to kind of keep the wrapping paper from creasing because it's fairly stiff, but also the kind of packing paper you find, I don't know, in Amazon type packages. But this stuff is particularly good because if you completely soak it through with water-based glue, when it hardens, this has got so much wood in it, it acts almost like wood. It is actually very strong, and this is of course a lot thinner. I haven't actually measured it, but it's probably, I don't know, 0.1 or 0.2 perhaps. Yeah, this is 0.15, 0.2 of a millimetre, which is often just the kind of size you need, and you can always build up layers, of course, that's obvious, but anyway, I just thought that was worth a mention. Well, that was it for this time round. Until next time, goodbye for now.